School is almost out in Boston, but while kids are out on summer break, many educators and families are thinking about ways to close opportunity and achievement gaps for their students. For the past 13 years, Boston Public Schools have tried to head that off with a program called the Fifth Quarter. When it first started back in 2010, it served just 232 students across 5 schools, but last year, the program reached more than 17,000 students. To talk about what's in store this year, I'm joined by Will Cardwell, Director of Summer Learning for Boston After School and Beyond, and Roxanne Harvey, Chair of BPS's Special Education Parent Advisory Council. Thank you both so much for coming today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So, Will, what is the difference between Fifth Quarter and BPS summer camp offerings and extended school year?
Yeah, great question that I find a lot of folks kind of find confusing. But essentially in the city of Boston, we are kind of a city as a classroom. And so really when we talk about the Fifth Quarter of Summer Learning, we're talking about a bunch of different structured programs. Ones families are most commonly aware of is the Fifth Quarter of Summer Learning, which combines academics with enrichment activities for young people, so that way we can both address the academic and the achievement gap, as well as opportunities for young people to engage in fun things in the summer after 9 long months of school. And then extended school year is more specific for students with IEPs who kind of need really specialized attention, and mostly the big difference there is just staffing, but those students also have academics and enrichment embedded. But really we're looking with the district in a more inclusive model to ensure that these programs don't really have lines in the sand, and really when we talk about summer in Boston, we're talking about all for all.
I love that. And you had a partnership this year with the Office of Special Education.
Yes.
And Boston SpedPAC. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was one that we kind of were wanting to do for quite some time, because we've noticed that we have students with special education plans in Fifth Quarter programs, and yet wanted to make sure that they had the resources to be most successful. So we've really kind of worked with the Special Education Office to really help them understand kind of what the program structures were like, and then what our needs were to support our learners in these programs, where many of the teachers are just kind of general school year teachers, and many of our partners are enrichment providers. We just wanted to make sure that every young person that was engaged in high quality summer was able to be successful and had the tools to do so. So we're really appreciative of that partnership with the Special Education Department and SpedPAC and families who are also kind of helping pave the way to ensure that we have more inclusivity for summer.
Thank you. Roxy, what were some of the challenges and concerns with partnering with Fifth Quarter programs this year?
Well, I think some of the challenges that many of our families expressed was just the confusion. A lot of it came from the perspective of thinking there are a lot of the partner organizations that many of our families, including myself, have worked with in the past or have tried to, and they said they couldn't service our students because of different abilities, and that maybe they don't have the staffing, the training, and many other reasons. But as Will mentioned, our students are still Boston students that need to be serviced and want to have a great summer too. So a lot of the concern came from, you're asking us to entrust some of our children to programs who have repeatedly basically told us, we can't handle, we can't service, or your child's not welcome here. So there was a lot of concern from our families of what will happen with our children when previously these are some of the same programs who have always said they cannot service. So I think the hardest challenge is like building that trust, right? Understanding that some of our children are nonverbal, they have different abilities that could be looked at differently when you don't understand their unique needs. And concern of whether people were going to have the right staffing, as Will mentioned, having the staffing, the training, and really be able to provide the services that the students needed. So I think a lot of the challenges were really the historic challenges, while still wanting inclusive access. We want our children to be, a lot of us want our children to be completely included within all city resources and to be a part of it. But we know that that means the programs have to be ready. And what we were seeing was they weren't ready to answer a lot of our questions of how they were going to service our students differently when they couldn't previously.
So with your program and BPS pushing for a fully included model, how did your program and you address some of these concerns?
Yeah, and rightfully put concerns. What we're dealing with is kind of some historical connotations around what a program was able to do and kind of what they weren't able to do. And so I think with working with the Special Education Department, what we've really kind of strived for is having our teams understand better kind of what are some of the needs of young people that come into programs with IEPs or specialized needs, and what are the resources that those programs might predict they will need, and then sharing that with the special education department, kind of letting them know if we need a speech one-to-one, if we need additional paras, if we have to make sure that our programs are in buildings that are accessible for young people who have movement challenges. That we are mindful of all those. And it's not that we haven't been in the past, but I think as was mentioned, it's not always been kind of on the forefront of our mind. And I think as we work towards a more inclusive model and kind of ensuring that all young people have access, we've been really trying to make sure that we incorporate that feedback and then really working with folks who have the expertise, frankly, in that field in order to kind of better guide our team and our partners in how to best structure experiences for young people. So that way we can kind of move forward with a new pathway and heal from some of those jarring conversations around inability and accessibility to support young people.
One of the things I've noticed when we speak of inclusion is, in case people don't know, BPS is moving towards full inclusion model. One of the things I've noticed is that when we speak about inclusion, people believe that inclusion is just for special education students, right? Inclusion is for all students.
Correct.
Every student is included in an inclusive model. How are you and your organization moving forward with kind of shifting that mindset?
Right. And I think that for Boston After School and Beyond, that's always been our mindset with our partners, that when we say all, we mean all, whether this be for summer, whether this be for out-of-school time learning, just kind of knowing the nature of where young people are, which is 80% of the time not in a school building. What we've kind of tried to do specifically for fifth quarter is make sure that we are identifying the priority groups. So when we talk about inclusion, we're talking about young people that have experienced homelessness. We're talking about English language learners. We're talking about young people from socioeconomically disenfranchised communities and backgrounds. And we're also talking about young people who have IEPs. And we're trying to be mindful of ensuring that they are all given priority access and equal focus to make sure that those young people always have a seat at the table and are always prioritized for access as some of our most needing service populations in terms of summer learning and out-of-school time experiences. So I think we've made a lot of progress there, but there's still a lot of work to be done, especially when it comes to working with our families and having them better understand the process and what they have access to in the city.
Tell us about the process. So it's open to everyone. It's open
Right.
to all BPS students. What is the process? Me and Roxy want to sign our kids up for fifth quarter. Where do we go?
Right. So we're using a system called SchoolMint, which we're in our third year of using. It's been interesting. It's an online enrollment management system, and I will say, in lieu of getting into the specifics, really, if families really wanted to start, they can kind of take a look at the Summer Stuff website for BPS just to get a sense of what's out there. They can look at the Boston After School and Beyond website, where we have a list of every program in our network throughout the city, and then they can contact me at wcardwell@bostonbeyond.org, or they can reach out to us at summerlearning@bostonpublicschools.org, and we will work with them directly to walk them through the process, to try to alleviate some of the cumbersome nature of it, and to just make sure that these are processes that are supporting equity and access and not hindering it by making families kind of jump through hoops.
Sounds good. Roxy, have you checked out any of the programs? Do any jump out at you?
So I have checked out some of the programs, and there are a lot of different programs, and several jump out at me. But I want to be mindful of just being completely transparent with even our family's experiences this year, which includes that some of the programs that look amazing. I think we're heading in the right direction, talking about making sure that all young people, all students can access programs, but we're not there yet. So there are programs there that I do think look amazing, but I know my child can't access. And I have talked to other parents where they've been told, oh, you know what, your child can't come here. They need this or they need that. And as someone who's used some summer programs and some of your partners were good at this from years, where like we've gone to Boston Nature Center in the past. They staff my child as a one-to-one, even though that's not their programming, right? But that's what my child needs, and they've done that even in the past. So I think I want to we also respect the fact that some families are experiencing right now, not just not knowing about all the great opportunities the city of Boston has, but also some of us who do know about them some of our children still can't access them because of our children's unique needs. And I think, like Will said, you guys are heading in the right direction of having that conversation about how do we meet their needs, how do we partner. But even the Office of Special Ed and the superintendent will tell you we are not fully inclusive in summer programming yet. We are not there. And it's a slow progress so get some students that may have individualized education plans and have specialized needs can attend, but a large majority of them still can't because the support isn't there to make it be a successful program for them yet. So I do think there are wonderful sports, arts, academics, wonderful programs that are really there, but they're just not set up fully in that inclusive manner that can include all children so that they can have a sense of belonging, success, and not be treated, because here's the difference. Won't send my child to a program where they will be in the room and over there while everyone's experiencing the joy of summer. And I have seen that. So I just say that too, because it's not just historical information and stuff. It's like the current here and now that many of our families are genuinely experiencing. But for the programs that are there are lots of wonderful ones that I do think as we continue to push forward, that many of our students who the only option previously was extended school year might be able to also go beyond. Yes, I can still get my speech, my ABA, my PT, my reading services, but I can also have music class. I can also go play sports and just enjoy that experience. So whatever the child's interest is, to really have that inclusive program. So your original question was, are there any that I see I really like? And there's tons, but they're not all inclusive enough for my children just yet.
I mean, this sounds like what you were talking about, your commitment to ensuring that all of these programs at some point are fully inclusive of all students. So if a family's experiencing challenges like Roxy's talking about, I know you gave your personal email. Is that who to turn to, reach out to you? And
Yeah, I mean, there are several of us that kind of work on it, but I feel like I'm most comfortable kind of helping be the director, the one to kind of help put people in communication with others that can kind of help rectify and address some of these challenges and concerns, because, we are a small team. And there's a lot of need throughout the city, and I think that what I want to offer to families is that I will work to be that connector. I won't be able to answer everything, and I will find the folks that can. But it's a growing process for us. Many of our partners also have some misconceptions about what it means to have an IEP and what all that entails. And it's not a lot of the information that they're privy to, that they're shared. So sometimes folks are kind of more concerned about doing what they can without doing harm, and often what it does result in is some harm being done with families and young people. So yeah, my information as well as the summer learning email address are the best ways to reach us, and it may not always be me that's coming up with the solution, but I'm definitely committed in my work to putting folks at the table to help create a plan and to provide solutions for families throughout the city of Boston.
that sounds great, and I think this is a wonderful partnership, a wonderful beginning between Office of Special Education and BPS Beyond, Boston and Beyond, and I really am looking forward to seeing this program grow. I really appreciate you coming. Thanks for spending time with us.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roxy, as well, for spending time with us today.
My pleasure. And I'm excited too, honestly, to hear about it continue to grow, and that, that is the long-term goal of making sure that one day, regardless of your specialized needs, you can choose whichever program you genuinely want and fully participate and belong with that program. So I'm excited about continuing the advocacy and continuing forward. So thank you.
Yeah.
Partnership and communication.
And advocacy makes progress. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.